brick by brick and a stone by stone run. It wasn't done alone. Spirit is the
Welcome.
You are listening to Menstruction.
I go by a black.
You should have your lyrics prepped. Should have these things ready to go.
I mean, of course. I mean, I've been at a prep. Yeah. I was like, I don't know if it's good on monitor or not. But yeah, no,
I don't know. The screen, the light hitting your lenses says otherwise.
What?
That says last minute, not prepared.
Stop it, man. I'm not even doing that, man. I'm looking at you.
Why are you so close to the camera? Move back. Move back.
Lyrics are hard to read, man. I mean, it's hard to
Get
see
back. Oh my God, stop. I hate that. We're here for another episode of what? Quotables. This is the place where we do what? We take the lyrics, we analyze them, and we wait for genius to call us to tell us that we stole their idea with a cease and desist. I am your host, Black Velvet, and I'm here with the indemnable, my co-host,
Mr. Idol Law, a.k.a. Ricky Sway, a.k.a. Deep Sea Dive Aquaman. Thank you for having me.
All right, so to it, you know how this thing starts. Most ridiculous lyrics I heard last week.
Yes, and this week I was allowed to bring my own lyrics that we consider ridiculous, right?
Yeah, sure. It's your turn this week.
Okay, so I wanted to keep it present and modern with this one. I know we looked at J. Cole and some Ari Lennox, but I wanted to move over into the OVO camp with the obvious reference, Mr. Aubrey Graham. We've heard a lot of interesting things from Mr. Graham, but honestly, the last beef between him and Mr. K. Dot brought up a line that I personally ignored, and I'm surprised that I did. And that was,
I mean, that seems indicative of Aubrey's whole career, though, if we're going to be honest. I mean, this man has been sliding in suspect, villainous lines for his whole career. So, you know, I personally feel people who think that this is a new phenomenon or who are just now becoming enlightened, I think they chose to gloss over it. Like the super fans, I think they willingly chose to gloss over it. But this has been his whole career.
and you know, you gotta give him some credit. He's had some very notable quotables, but that's not what we're here for today. We're here for the worst of the worst, and unsurprisingly, this was relatively easy to find. From For All the Dogs, released as a lead single, Slime You Out. Do you recall this song?
I'm gonna be 100% honest. I heard some of the feedback about it, and I didn't listen to it because I was wholeheartedly uninterested in the album, so I didn't listen. And then I heard it was called Slime You Out, and I was automatically disgusted. So I was like, you can keep that. I don't even want to know what that song's about. I don't want to know what it sounds like. Then I heard SZA was on it. I was like, yeah, this track's going to be disgusting. So y'all got it.
That's funny. Admittedly, I wasn't too much of a fan of the song when it first released. But apparently they were talking about Nickelodeon slime because they originally had Halle Berry on the cover with slime, green Nickelodeon slime on her face. So, you know, it was a mix, like I said, mixed results. Unimportant, though. The line is, I believe it is the opening verse, yes. Drake says, "You got my mind in a terrible place, whipped and chained you like American slaves." You got my mind in a terrible place, whipped and chained you like American slaves. Stand out, isn't it?
Wow. You know, I think I've seen I've seen that criticized somewhere before too. I think. Yeah. So first thing that comes to mind about that, it just is a constant reminder, as Aubrey never fails to do, that he's not American. It's a constant reminder. Like no matter how much he tries to assimilate himself into American culture, especially American black culture, um, it just doesn't work. It just he's not, because a true black American would never in their fucking lives. Never. So it's just he'll never make it. He'll never, because his social awareness just isn't there.
Yeah, and I agree. Honestly, I think Kendrick really brought that to light with the reminder that Drake is from Canada, and so most likely, if not all the way true, he would have limited understanding about not only the black man but African American men, women intersectional suffering that has happened on this border, on this side of
Yeah.
the state. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And also, honestly, and I hate to say it for whoever's left in his fan base that is female, but like, as a black woman, if you're still riding for and or with Aubrey, this is also an L for you, quite honestly. If that's where if you feel like that works for you and that's just something you're gonna accept, that's also very sad. It's very sad, because like, damn, what are you saying about yourself? That's how you know it's really about the clout. It has nothing to do with your self-respect, because what the fuck are you doing? You gotta let a half black man say to you that you referring to slavery, and y'all supposed to be mixing it up in the bedroom. That's a L. That's a L.
Have you heard worse?
Yeah, but not in hip hop.
What?
And not specifically for something that's supposed to be for baby making music. Nah.
What?
I've heard worse out in the streets, niggas just running their mouths
Wow.
and or being openly disrespectful. But for you to get in a studio somewhere and press record and have however many people were in the room, like we talked about before, previous episodes, and not one person was like, hey, blood, the black ones might not like that.
The blacks.
You got a black woman on the track. Tragic. It's tragic, bro. It's tragic. I'm disappointed in everybody.
Yes, this wasn't my favorite song, man, but yeah, that line, not very good. Not very good.
That is such a departure from the previous ones. At least before it was kind of jovial. Then you came in with that. It's just that we got to go right back into the darkest annals of American history.
Would you like me to sing it? I'm sure he sung it. It got over.
I hope he didn't, because that actually is a double negative if he also sang that.
Nah,
That's actually horrible.
because I believe it was on Billboard, so he sang it. He sang it. So I mean, if I can make it more pleasant for you,
It's not. I think that the black community as a whole, whatever's left of it, is already trying to recover from that stain. So nah, we don't. As black men, let's not add any more fuel to that fire. That's a L. Take that, no Diddy, and we'll move along.
all right. Other things aside, yes, all right. Well, thank you for allowing me to share. I'll be sure to find something worse in the next 2 weeks.
Hey, yeah. All right. So from the ridiculous to the talented, we go from analyzing and breaking down those in the industry to analyzing ourselves. Because we too are artists, MCs even. We have released a a myriad of things. We've probably also put out some things, said some lines that were questionable in quality and or character. To make sure that we keep in our credibility established, we're here to do this to ourselves. So today, my friend, what is on the chopping block?
A classic. It is a classic. It's from the Hypnologist album titled Taste Test, and it is the outro
Ooh-wee.
track titled Writer's Block. Now, before we get into it, if you weren't already, I think the people should know a bit more information as to why you titled the outro Writer's Block.
I did write Writer's Block. It was the closing track on our EP from, what year was that?
2020.
2020. God, jeez!
Yeah.
Oh my God, has it been that long? I felt like we recorded that like a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, that was the outro, and it's called Writer's Block because that's what I fucking had when I was trying to get it done.
Candid.
Because backstory, we had made an agreement as we were making this project that one of us was going to do the outro and one of us was going to do the intro. And since we collaborated on every other track on the EP, figured it would be a great way to just bring everything together, where instead of both of us being on every single track, one of us writes the entirety of one of the two, and then the other person writes the other. I don't remember how we decided who did the intro, who did the outro, but that's how it came down. So I knew my responsibility the whole time we were working on that project. And I was suffering because I knew as we were getting more tracks done that I was not coming closer to completing that outro. So
let me interrupt you quickly as well. Just another fun fact point that I recall in this moment in time is we picked the production for both of our intros and outros. You picked mine. I picked yours.
Yes, right. Just to keep it completely wholesale, right? That was. Yeah, we did pick each other's productions as well. Yes, but I had Writer's Block, and then it finally came down to it, and I had to write it. I had to get it done because I think the rest of the project was basically done at that point. And we're just waiting for me to complete the outro so we could package it up and get it out. I'm racking my brain, and I was stuck. Like I just couldn't generate the ideas. And then I finally was like, that's the answer. It's in front of me the whole time, because isn't it always? Write about the experience. Just write that. Writer's Block. That's it.
So many layers, I just don't get it.
Nah, never.
Beautiful. Well, why don't we break down this incredible work of art and Writer's Block?
Yeah, I'm interrupting. Give me a second. I wouldn't have to if you just. Did you subscribe yet? I'm sorry, I'm being rude. How's your day? Did you subscribe yet? Great. Are you following on your favorite streaming platform? I see. Okay. Did you know there's a Patreon where you get, the exclusive stuff, the tracks, the rest of the notable quotable episodes. Oh, you just know everything, huh? Okay. Okay.
Get back to it then. Man, let's do it, man. We teed it up. Let's see if it holds up 4 years later.
Oh, man, I'm sure it does.
4 years later is insane.
We was going through a lot 4 years ago. And so this is a sign of the time.
Still going through a lot now.
Okay. Oh, man. Send prayers his way. All right, so for this verse 1, diving in, I could yell and scream and belch out the best song that I ever did. Would not make a difference because I beat myself up so much, I'd still say, the hell with it. And would you believe that I was stuck on that line? like I was confessing my love to that nine who obsesses with flipping digits like her alarm time. Let's stop right there for a minute.
Ooh wee.
So I could yell and scream and belt out the best song that I ever did. So within that is the acknowledgement that I have this task in front of me and I know what I'm capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
But where I'm at right now, I'd still say the hell with it, even if I didn't reach those heights that I'm used to reaching.
Yep.
Does that sound about right?
I mean, that's what I said.
Yeah,
That's what I said.
Man,
it's like you read it off the back of my skull.
Who'd have known? And would you believe that I was stuck on that line? Stuck on the previous, like he was confessing his love to that nine who obsessed with flipping digits like her alarm time. Now, there's something there. I think we get the first metaphorical flair of, let's take a closer look at that. So he was confessing.
Pull out the lyrical magnifying glass.
You know what I mean? If I had a monocle on me. Confessing my love to that nine who obsesses with flipping digits like her alarm time. Now, I can see on the surface level you confessing to a nine, but immediately I ponder, why not a 10, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotta rate him, I guess. That's the point.
And obsessing with flipping digits, so I presume getting numbers from people that she plans to never call. But like her alarm time, that's peculiar as well. So please walk us through that.
Okay. And see, this is why, again, the Black Velvet Mind is just such an act in forensic investigation. It's forensic psychology right here, right? Because, the interpretations are many. I'm writing about the experience. I'm literally like, can you believe that I wrote those first 3 lines? And that's where I got stuck. Now, of course, this is the finished product. So as a listener, you wouldn't know that, right? Because you don't know the process. You just get the finished product. But again, this is where the meta part comes in. I'm part of what you're hearing. I'm telling you the process. I start off by telling you what's going through my mind. I'm like, I know that I could do all these things and probably grind it out and make the best song that I ever did. But in my heart, I can't get it done because I'm conflicted. Because I feel like I know I'm still not going to be good enough. So then I'm breaking down the process. I got stuck on that line. Like I was confessing my love to a 9. So then, that's my love of wordplay. So I was stuck on that literal line. But then I'm also saying I was stuck on that line as if I was talking to a baddie, right? So I'm trying to figure out, what am I going to say, right? Because niggas don't want to be corny. So you get stuck on your line. Like, what am I going to say to the 9? And now I'm switching perspectives, right? Which again is one of the things I love to do in my music, as we will explore. Now I'm switching to the female's perspective. The 9 who obsesses with flipping digits like her alarm time. So I'm saying, and this is where, remember we talked about previous episodes, how I do themes and schemas. So I do my setup and I usually carry it for 3, 4, maybe 6 lines if I'm feeling frisky. So this is me actually setting up, which we're going to get to in a second, the schema that I'm going for with numbers. So flipping digits. So I said she's a 9, but she thinks she's a 6, right? Because if you flip 9 upside down, it's a 6. So that's what I'm saying. She obsesses with flipping digits like her alarm time. And then the alarm time part is a reference to waking up, right? Because that's, again, bringing your mind to consciousness, which is breaking through writer's block, but it's also waking up. So, when you look at, sometimes when you wake up, you look at an alarm clock, for those that still use them, it's flipped, right? So the numbers are quite literally flipped.
Wow. I'm so glad we asked. And I want to move forward to the next line, but immediately I also think, just as another writer as well, I think it would have been dope, me adding my flair to it, if he was like,
yeah,
would you believe that I was stuck on that line? Like I was confessing my love to that 9 something, something, something. I pretend that she's one of a kind, right? Pretend, 10, 9, one of a kind.
Yeah.
Just little things.
See, that's why we do this, right? Because not only is it a learning experience slash inspiration, but we get to see how our approaches are different, right? Because we've meshed all our energies on this project, but I think between the intro and the outro, that was also a very good demonstration of our unique approaches. That could be cool too, but it's okay because I did some cool shit too. We're gonna see.
Oh, arguably cooler shit. Let's keep going. It convalesces. So okay,
Oh,
yes,
it's a typo. That's what say and.
Okay,
That's my bad.
okay.
I missed
And,
some letters there. I was typing fast.
and let me know if I'm starting at the top of the bar. I can't really hear the beat as we talk. Is this, or it doesn't start here?
Yeah, that's it right there. Yep. At
Yeah.
the after alarm time.
Okay. It convalesces her confidence with dresses and eyeline. Yeah. Until she decides, coalesces. She's a 6. That's no dice. Damn it. Now steaming up something like that is dry ice. Streaming those last couple lines.
Hold on. We gotta stop right there. We gotta
Right.
stop right there.
Right.
Because that's where that's the setup, and then that's the end of that schema right there.
I love it.
Yes.
Okay. So convalesce and coalesce immediately. We'd have to consult our good friend Webster, from the mind of our friend here. Convalesce, because you know what it means, but do the people
Yeah.
know? Do the
I
people,
hope so.
Do the people? Everybody's heard coalesce. Come
Sure.
together to form one mass or whole. Okay, that is
Okay.
coalesce. Now
Yeah,
convalesce.
that sounds correct.
It better be.
I hope so. Yeah, let's give accurate information on the show, please.
Yeah, Oxford.
How are we analyzing forensically the words and then giving inaccurate definitions? That the credibility is gone. We might as well wrap it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead and turn the cameras off now.
Convalesce. Time spent recovering from an illness or medical treatment or recuperation. Wow. So what you're saying is she's recuperating her confidence with dresses and eyeliner. You know, she's
Ooh,
doing her
you
best.
see just how the words are so beautiful.
Isn't it? Until she decides she's going to come together to say that she's a 6. And that's no dice. No. You say no die or no dice?
No diet. Well, because again, for consulting our dear friend, I personally prefer Merriam-Webster, but that's just me. Die and dice. So I believe dice is plural, and die is singular. So it's multiple dice, one die. So in this case, I said dice because it's plural.
Thank you. Damn it, now steaming up something like that is dry ice. Now,
Hold on, before we get to that line.
Yes.
Because the full schema we got here is between the alarm time and I'm sorry, actually it goes from 9 all the way down to dice. Before I break it down, do you want to try to take a stab at it? Just as a fellow MC, but also as a listener. What's wrapped up in here?
Well, if we look at the macro, right? Because I don't want to get too caught up in the metaphor that you're using without remembering that this is about writer's block, right? So you confessing your love while being stuck on these lines to this 9, who says we're flipping digits. So it seems like there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of covering up at the same time, of masking that feeling of insecurity, of I feel that I want to do this, but this is actually where I'm at. So I'm going to cover myself in all of these superficial things in order to give the idea and or illusion that I have it all together. Right? So specifically in this line, flipping digits like the alarm time, right? So you brought that right back when you're confessing your love to that 9. Now she's until she decides coalesces, she comes together, she's a 6. It's no dice. So there's a lot of flipping that goes on here. I have the pieces, but it's going to take me conversating with you to bring them all together.
Yeah, so perfect. So I love that on the macro level where there's the theme of concealment, right, and fabrication, because that's a lot of what goes into writer's block in general. Because writer's block truly isn't actually a lack of ideas for the most part. It's usually a lack of confidence and abilities. Just in the research that I did on writer's block at the time to help me write this. So it's not that you don't have it, it's that you don't believe in what you have, right? And you don't think that it's sufficient for whatever you want to provide it for. So, with that being the case, that's definitely a theme there. But then, we got to come on, this Black Velvet. There's more layers. What's actually going on with the words? Here we go. So we already talked about the 9 being flipped upside down, right? So we're spinning numbers. The 9 to the 6. Okay. Then we have convalesces or confidence or dresses in I aligned. That's pretty straightforward. Until she decides, coalesces, she's a 6. So that goes back to what I said about flipping the 9. But then I made it so beautiful. I said that's no dice. Now, the phrase no dice basically just means like, without exception, right? That's no dice. That means that's exactly what it means. I don't even know the origins of that phrase, but that's essentially what that means. But then the dice ties it back together because dice flip, right? You flip a dice to get a number, do you not? We're talking about flipping numbers. Then, if you look up the different kinds of dice you can have, they're typically labeled by the number of sides they have. And they're usually described as D and then the number. So that's typically D and the number of sides. So D sides. So there's the play off of the word decide. So you have she decides, but then also I'm talking about D sides as in numerous sides on a dice. So I'm saying, actually, as we already covered on the macro, yes, you're concealing yourself, you think you're a 6, but also there are so many different interpretations of what you think you are, like a multi-sided dice. So relating that back to writer's block, it's all of the back and forth you do in your mind trying to convince yourself that you're not good enough. So again, there are multiple different outcomes because you're using a multi-sided die.
Brilliant. D sides. Very much well thought out. I like that. Okay. On to the next. Damn it. Now, steaming up something like that is dry ice. Streaming those last couple lines over your head like red eye flights. Red eye flights, late night flights of oneself. We're going to get back to that red eye flights, but immediately, of course, we can acknowledge that when you have dry ice, there is steam and or a gaseous formula that is radiating upwards from dry ice. Can we agree on that?
Absolutely.
All right. It's steaming up, so that sounds synonymous to scheming up, right? Steaming up is scheming up. So you're bringing up these intangible and unrealistic things, like you said, flipping multiple personalities like you would a dice. You're cooking something up. It's going over your head like those last couple of lines, which we had to restream and revisit. Over your head like red eye flights, late night flights of oneself. The next bar complements this perfectly, but tell us specifically about this red eye flights and how it relates to the entire bar.
Yeah, so this one, sometimes I have to release the pressure, right? Got to open the valve. So if I'm banging people over the head with it, I try not to do too much. So I got to put a buffer in there. So this is one of those buffer lines where it's just like it is what it is on the surface. So I did my switching of perspectives, all the wordplay that was there. Now there's just your buffer line. Damn it, now I'm steaming up something like that. It's dry ice. So that's just me saying, okay, now the gears are turning, right? The writer's block is fading, and now we're steaming up. We're getting it going, right? And then I'm got to go back to being cheeky. So I'm like, I stream those last couple of lines over your head like red eye flights, which is just acknowledging the fact, like I do in damn near every song, that you probably have already missed several things I've said. But on top of that, there's also a reference to the rest of the project, right? Because this is the outro. So I'm saying you miss those last couple of lines like you missed lines back in the beginning of the project. I've been streaming, because again, you're listening on a streaming platform. So I've been streaming these lines over your head the whole time.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Like you said, it's cheeky and it brings back to the project as a whole. It's relatable. I love it. Margin red line. Red eyes now. They're bloodshot.
Wait, hold on. Let's start. We got to start from the red eye line, because all this now going down goes together.
Certainly. Yeah. Let's run it back. Red eye flights. Late night flights of oneself. Margin red line. Red eyes now. They're bloodshot. I can't stop. Just plugged it in. Now the iron's hot. Anti drugs. The pen. Remedy to jot. There's a lot in here. There's a lot to think about in here. Late night fights of oneself. Margin red line. Red eyes now. They're bloodshot. So I mean, a lot of red, but a lot of passion, emotion, a lot of energy within that red. Even if you're not seeing or hearing the red, you can see that in your mind's eye, like with the iron. Anti-drugs, the pen, remedy to jot. We'll get back to that as well, but tell us more about this bar.
Oh, so, again, on the surface level, you properly explain all the red, right? You're seeing red. So it's playing off of red eye flights, which are super early morning flights. They're called that because usually, because of how early they are, people would have bloodshot eyes. So they termed them red eye flights. So that's why there's the two interpretations of red eye. I'm saying red eye flights, like these lines are going over your head, literally like red eye flights. You're sleeping, right? Red eye flights are in the air. You're not aware. But then I'm also saying red eye flights, as in I have red eyes as I'm streaming this line of consciousness, because it's really early or really late, depending on how you want to look at it, when I'm writing this. So then it goes red eye flights, late night fights of oneself. So again, that's all going back with the theme of writer's block. You're fighting yourself internally. The margin red line, so that's literally the red line that's on the side of the page, right? Because I actually write my own bars. Who would have known? So that's the red line on the paper. Margin red line, red eyes now. So I'm saying I've been trying to get this written for so long. I've been staring at this margin on this paper. My eyes are bloodshot. But I'm getting it going now. So then that goes into the rest of it. I can't stop. I just plugged it in. Now the iron's hot. So that's again playing off the red, like a red hot iron. So it's coming forth. It's coming out.
I love it. I love that. And I especially love the margin red line. I didn't know that. I didn't get that off upon a first listen or a first read. That on note paper, it has the red and blue crosshatches, and it just works. Nice. This is why we do what we do, ladies and gentlemen. You can't just listen to this upon a first try and think you're going to get everything.
Yeah, it's also about establishing credibility. Who are we to criticize if we can't demonstrate that we have the skill and ability?
Yes. And
this is for the credibility. You be the judge.
On the other end of that too, in the future, I'm sure we will pick out each of our respective, not very good, very cringe lines.
Oh yeah, I'm fully prepared to tear my shit apart.
Oh.
100%.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as am I. Soothing like aloe, vitiligo flow. I like this one. Page covered with black and white spots. An obstacle is now a stepping stone. That's how you overcome that writer's block. So just going back to my recent listen, when I heard the vitiligo flow, I honestly leaned forward in my chair. I was like, "Where's it gonna go with this? Where's it gonna go with this? Let's pay attention now." Page covered with black and white spots. So if you imagine again back to that notepad where the margin is, you got majority white on that page with the black, presuming black velvet writes with a black pen, wouldn't be too far from the truth. An obstacle is now a stepping stone. That's how you overcome writer's block. You're looking at the product of this line now as you're listening to the song.
Meta.
Anything that you would like to say about that, man? Because that vitiligo flow was very good, man. It doesn't matter what you're saying, you're still putting something down. And that's how you defeated your writer's block.
So what I like about this verse especially is not just the effort that it took to get it done and also the approach I had to take, but also just tonally how it comes together, because when it comes to the end, it feels like relief, which is how it was supposed to feel. Because again, there was all that back and forth flipping juxtaposition earlier in the verse because it was supposed to replicate the feeling of fighting yourself internally, because that's what it was. Then you get to the end and it's like it almost feels like an exhale, because as when the flow picks up from red eye flights, late night fights of oneself, it starts to, the flow's kind of choppy, right? So it's like it almost feels like there's a stop start quality to it. And it's sporadic. It's like, okay, we're going and we're stopping, we're going, we're starting. I mean, we're going and we're stopping. So then when you finally get to that last part with the soothing like a low vitiligo flow, not only does the actual flow pattern change in the verse, but let's go back to imagery, one of my favorite literary devices. When you think of aloe, it's soothing, right? That's what it's supposed to do. It has rehabilitation qualities. It's a very soothing, rejuvenating compound element. So there's the imagery there of I'm actually invoking that by saying, the soothing like aloe vitiligo flow. But then, come on, layers, it's like velvet. From a sound perspective, listen to how that sounds. I'm using soothing word sounds, letter sounds. The O's, soothing, like aloe, vitiligo, flow. It's just soothing to the ear. It's peaceful because you have that transition from you're fighting, you're going back and forth from the rest of it, right? And you have those harder hitting sounds, right? You have the shot, the hot, jot, right? So you have that hard T at the end. So you're feeling it. And then it's like, wait, relax. We made it to the end. Aloe, vitiligo flow, right? So I turned it around. Then you get to the end of it, page covered with black and white spots and obstacles, now a stepping stone. So now also there's a change in structure because I went from incomplete sentences, right? I'm throwing ideas and themes. Red eye flights, fights, margin red line, red eyes. There are no complete sentences there. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, we finish with complete sentences. Page is covered with black and white spots and obstacles, now a stepping stone. So now it's like a stream of consciousness. Now I can speak freely because I made it to the end. Breath of fresh air. That's how you write a verse. Bag it and tag it. Send it home.
Yeah. Immediately when you was thinking that you didn't know how this was going to get done or when it got done, but you took your time on it and you turned your obstacle into a stepping stone. But we're not done yet, of course.
I hope you're enjoying this episode of Notable Quotables. But before we go any further, we got some ground rules over here. Okay. Number one, you need to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Like, what are we doing? Secondly, you need to get over there to the podcast. You need to subscribe to that channel. Or on your favorite streaming platform, you need to go ahead and follow. And lastly, you need to get over to the Patreon if you want to see the rest of this episode. Do we understand each other? All right.